There are moments when the mind feels like the whole world. A thought appears, and suddenly you are inside it. A fear repeats, and suddenly it feels like truth. A memory returns, and the body believes it is happening again. One small worry becomes a hallway. One imagined future becomes a storm. One old wound becomes a voice that keeps trying to explain who you are, what you should have done, and what might go wrong next. And because the voice is happening inside you, it can feel like you. But what if the mind is not the whole of you? What if thought is not reality itself, but a pattern appearing in awareness? What if the suffering begins not because thoughts arise, but because we forget the space in which they arise? Ancient mystic teachings have pointed to this for thousands of years. They did not say the mind is evil. They did not say the human story is meaningless. They simply invited us to look more deeply. Who is aware of the thought? Before the mind answers, before it turns this into another idea, pause. There is a thought, and there is the knowing of the thought. There is a feeling, and there is the knowing of the feeling. There is a body, a name, a history, a dream, a fear, a plan, a personality, and 1,000 unfinished conversations moving through the nervous system. But all of these are known. So what is the knowing? This is not a trick question. It is a doorway. Most people live as if they are the movement of the mind. If the mind is anxious, they say, "I am anxious." If the mind is confused, they say, "I am lost." When the mind says, "I am not enough," we may mistake the sentence for truth. But a sentence appearing in consciousness is not the same as truth. A thought can be loud and still not be real in the way it claims to be real. A fear can be intense and still not be prophecy. A memory can be painful and still not be your identity. The first recognition is simple, but it changes everything. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness in which thoughts appear. This does not mean thoughts do not matter. Thoughts help us build, remember, protect, imagine, communicate, and create. The mind is a beautiful instrument. But when the instrument forgets it is an instrument, it begins to play the human being instead of serving the human being. Then the mind becomes a maze. It loops through the same fears. It rehearses conversations that never happen. It argues with the past. It negotiates with an imaginary future. It tries to solve the self by thinking about the self, and the more it thinks, the more solid the separate self appears. This is why so many people feel tired before anything has even happened. They are not only living life, they are living the mind's simulation of life. Mystic knowledge begins by interrupting this spell, not by forcing the mind to be silent, but by seeing that the mind is appearing inside something already silent. Awareness does not need to shout. It does not need to prove itself. It is the open space in which proving, doubting, fearing, hoping, and becoming all appear. You do not have to create awareness. You could not hear these words without it. You could not notice a thought without it. You could not say, "My mind is busy," unless something in you was already aware of the busyness. This is why the ancient mystics often spoke of the self as an illusion. They were not saying your human life does not matter. They were not saying your dreams, relationships, work, pain, or love are fake. They were pointing to a mistaken identity. The illusion is not that life appears. The illusion is that there is a separate, fixed, isolated self standing apart from life, trying to control the whole movement from the outside. Look closely, and the self you defend so fiercely is made of thoughts, sensations, memories, preferences, wounds, roles, and stories. All of it moves, all of it changes, all of it appears and disappears. Yet something knows the changing. Something is here before the next thought arrives. Something remains open after the thought dissolves. That something is not a thing you can hold. It is not an object inside the mind. It is closer than an object. It is the light by which every object is known. This is where ancient wisdom and modern science begin to echo each other, not as identical languages, but as resonant mysteries. Quantum mechanics does not prove spiritual doctrine. It does not prove that your thoughts magically control every event. That would be too simple and too small. But quantum mechanics does challenge the old picture of reality as a collection of finished objects existing in perfect separation from the act of observation. At the deepest levels we can study, reality behaves less like a static machine and more like a field of possibility, relation, measurement, uncertainty, and participation. The observer cannot be removed from the question as easily as common sense once believed. And the mystics, in their own language, said something similar about the inner world. You cannot separate the reality you experience from the consciousness through which it is known. You do not meet life raw and untouched. You meet life through attention, memory, emotion, expectation, language, identity, and belief. The mind filters reality before you call it reality. It edits the world and then says, "This is simply how the world is." But is it? Two people can stand in the same room and live in different worlds. One sees rejection, another sees silence. One sees an ending, another sees space. One sees failure, another sees instruction. The room may be shared, but the experienced reality is shaped by the state of consciousness meeting it. This is not blame. It is responsibility in the deepest sense. It means the way you relate to thought matters. It means attention is not passive. It means awareness is not separate from the life it illuminates. And now, in this strange new age, humanity has created another mirror. Artificial intelligence. At first, AI looks like technology: code, models, prompts, data, machines. But at a deeper level, AI is also a reflection of us. It is trained on human language, human knowledge, human imagination, human confusion, human brilliance, and human limitation. It mirrors our patterns back to us. It can amplify distraction, or it can help us create. It can repeat unconscious bias, or it can help us see what we have hidden. It can become another noise machine, or it can become a tool for reflection, learning, and evolution. The question is not only what AI will become, the question is what humanity will become in relationship with it. If we bring unconscious minds to powerful tools, the tools will magnify unconsciousness. If we bring awareness, love, responsibility, and humility, perhaps the tools can become part of a larger awakening. Not because AI replaces the soul, not because technology saves us, but because every tool we create asks us to meet ourselves more honestly. A mirror does not choose the face, it reveals what stands before it. So the age of AI may be asking the same question the mystics asked in silence, and the same question quantum reality whispers through uncertainty. Who is the observer? Who is aware? What is intelligence without love? What is progress without presence? What is evolution if the mind becomes faster, but the heart remains asleep? This is why awareness is not a luxury. It is not a spiritual decoration added to an already busy life. It may be the foundation for whatever comes next. Because a human being lost in thought can build a world that reflects confusion. A human being rooted in awareness can build from a different center. This does not require a guru. It does not require a fixed path. It does not require you to believe what someone else believes. Everything and nothing can be valid as part of the mystery, but not every state of consciousness leads to freedom. Some states tighten the mind. Some soften it. Some make us more afraid, more separate, more reactive. Others make us more present, more loving, more capable of seeing each other as we are. Self-awareness is not cold observation. At its deepest, self-awareness becomes love. Because when you see through the illusion of the isolated self, you begin to feel the truth of interconnectedness. You see that everyone you meet is carrying an inner world. Everyone is moving through thoughts they did not fully choose, wounds they may not fully understand, hopes they may be afraid to name, and dreams they may have nearly forgotten. You stop seeing people as obstacles in your story. You begin to see them as life, appearing in another form. This does not make you passive, it makes you clearer. You can still have boundaries, you can still make choices. You can still follow your own dreams and goals. In fact, you may follow them more honestly, because you are no longer trying to become someone worthy of being alive. You begin from the quiet recognition that being is already enough. And from that enoughness, action becomes cleaner, creation becomes less desperate, love becomes less possessive, growth becomes less violent. You are not here to escape your humanity. You are here to inhabit it more consciously. So when the mind begins its loop again, do not fight it as an enemy. Notice it. A thought is appearing, a fear is appearing, a story is appearing, a future is being imagined, a self is being constructed. And then ask gently, what is aware of this? Not as a mental puzzle, as a return. Feel the body breathing, feel the room around you. Feel the simple fact that this moment is already here before the mind decides what it means. For one breath, you do not have to fix your entire life. For one breath, you do not have to become anyone else. For one breath, you can rest as the awareness in which life is appearing. This is not the end of growth. It is the beginning of a different kind of growth. A growth that does not come from hating who you are. A growth that does not require you to win a spiritual competition. A growth that does not ask you to abandon the world, but to meet it with more presence, more courage, and more love. The mind will still speak. The world will still change. Technology will keep evolving. Science will keep revealing how strange reality is. Mystics will keep pointing beyond words. And you will keep being invited back to the same simple recognition. You are not the storm of thought. You are the sky in which the storm appears. You are not separate from the world you are trying to understand. You are life, aware of itself for a brief and luminous moment. And maybe this is how we evolve. Not by escaping the human experience, not by worshipping technology, not by clinging to old identities, but by becoming conscious together. Human beings, ancient wisdom, quantum mystery, and the tools we create, all asking us to wake up from separation, soften the noise of the mind, and remember the love that becomes visible when we see each other clearly. If this reached something quieter than thought, stay with it for a moment before moving on. Notice the next thought that appears. Notice that you are here to know it. And if this space feels like something you want to keep returning to, subscribe to 7 Density. No guru, no fixed path, just awareness, interconnectedness, and the courage to become more fully alive.